Hello, I'm Azai. Welcome to the fruit of Grisaia, or in Japanese it's called Grisaia no Kajitsu. First of all, Happy New Year. I actually already recorded a video of this, at least the first like 10 minutes or so, but I saw that there was a problem with the recording, so you guys couldn't hear anything from the game, so that was entirely my fault. But yeah, sorry I've been MIA for the past 2 weeks or so. I've been pretty busy, so I haven't really been doing a lot of stuff actually, outside of just going home from work and then being tuckered out, doing my exercise, and after that I just basically went to bed. It's been so busy lately, so I do apologize for being MIA. But yeah, also for the Patreon thing, I haven't really been doing too much on that. It's actually taking a lot of time compared to what I thought I would be doing for it. Recording the sex scenes individually and then putting them on the videos that I've already uploaded because I don't have the master files anymore. I guess that's also my fault, but I don't really have my backup files that I haven't censored. So the only place I could really download back my files is on YouTube. But yeah, I guess sorry about that for now. Hopefully after the next couple of weeks I can get that going. But yeah, now the new series that we're going to be doing for this year is going to be Grisaia. At least the first trilogy, like I said on Patreon, or you know, the last video. I don't really think I'll be doing the games back to back to back. Though I might do the second game and third game at the same time after I finish it, because if I'm not mistaken, it ends in a cliffhanger. I don't think this one ends in a cliffhanger, but I could be wrong. But yeah, without further ado, let us start the game, shall we?
始めますね.
And do realize that I actually have Sachi there as my system voice. I've actually streamed this game 2 years ago, or I think 3 years ago at this point, in 2019. But I just kept rambling on and wasn't able to continue the story as much as I wanted to. So yeah, that's why I'm doing this right now, again. Intense sunlight blazes down on the road as if to declare the arrival of summer. I don't know how to actually explain this story, to be fair. I think when I was younger, I definitely got influenced a lot by this story. Now, though, I can kind of see how a friend of mine actually says that this is like a lot of pretentious writing, and I can definitely see that now. But when I was younger, I definitely really liked how pretentious it was. Let's see if it still follows through. The burning asphalt radiates heat, mixing with the scent of the tide to form a thick, muggy atmosphere. It's way too early for this kind of weather, and when the temperature is abnormally high, you're always going to get some people who lose their heads and start acting erratically. In other words, it's only natural that the police would be on the lookout for suspicious types at times like these. It was about 10 minutes ago that I realized I've been mistaken for one of those heatstroke adult sorts. But yeah, I actually was kinda, what is it? I kind of bit my tongue a lot when I was reading this, the 10 minutes that I first recorded, and I had a lot of shitty mistakes, of course. But do like and subscribe. I did say I was gonna do that in the beginning of the video, so yeah, and hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's kind of weird. I don't really know where to put that.
名前が風見雄二。住所は山梨県大里郡。
Sweat pouring from his forehead as he examines my license. The policeman in front of me takes a glance at the large backpack I'm carrying, then continues the background check.
山梨から来たのか、あんた。
Oh, sorry. Yes.
この町には何の用事で？大荷物背負って、どこかへ行く途中かい？
I told you this 10 minutes ago. I'm moving. This luggage is everything I own.
それじゃあ、引っ越し先の住所は？
Like I said, I don't have one yet. The answer is not going to change no matter how many times you ask.
引っ越し先の住所も決まっていないのに、引っ越してきたっていうのかい？君、何を隠しているの？そろそろ本当のことを教えてよ。
Where did you come from? Where are you going? What are you planning to do there? Depending on the context, this could be fairly philosophical questions. But as far as police inquiries go, they're pretty run-of-the-mill. Yeah, see, like, this sort of thinking, if you look at it from a different perspective, can be considered, like, pretentious. But I like it, though. Though I can't really deny what my friend says is quite true. If you look at it objectively, it is pretty pretentious. From their perspective, anyone wandering around without clear-cut business is by default a criminal of some sort. Let alone someone like me, carrying around conspicuous bulky luggage. It's as good as guaranteed that they'd stop me. To be honest, I don't know if I've ever said this before on, on a video, but back when I first started going to the gym, I actually didn't go to the gym using any sort of vehicle. I actually walked there. I walked with like a really big backpack. It wasn't really a far walk, like 2.5 kilos. But going there and going back to my house, I actually routinely do about 5 kilo walk about 4 times a week. It's not really that bad, but, you know, in retrospect, I do think that we're kind of similar nowadays to the main character of this game. That is their job, I suppose. Since this little scene acts as a crime deterrent through its visibility, it's not an entirely wasted effort. But unfortunately, I don't have all day to play along. I drop a glance toward the digital watch I'm wearing around my left wrist. Sorry, but I'm keeping someone waiting. I really can't spare any more time for hanging out with bored cops.
バカにしてるのか?
A bored police force is proof that the city's at peace. Take it as a compliment. Inexplicably taking offense at my tone, the policeman clicks his tongue in irritation and tosses my license back.
じゃあ、風見さん。悪いけど、お背中の荷物の中身、確認させてもらっていいかな?
I refuse.
どうして? 何か見られたくないものでも入ってるの? 刃物とか持ってない?
Sorry. I don't rely on blades. Policy of mine. Look, are you really telling me to unpack all this on the spot? It'll take an hour at least. 30 minutes just to take it all out. 30 minutes to stuff it back in.
じゃあ立ち話もなんだし、警察署に行こうか。冷たいお茶ぐらい出すからさ。そこでゆっくりお話を聞かせてよ。
God damn it, I keep doing that. Sorry. It's not that my hands are twitching. I thought that he was actually done talking. I haven't really, been listening to a lot of Japanese voices the past couple of weeks. I just told you, I don't have the time. I can't accept voluntary questioning. I know you can't just back down in a situation, but if I say I'll head over there myself later, can we wrap this up for now?
そんな都合のいいこと言って、そのまましらばっくれる気だろ。だったらせめて自宅の連絡先を教えてよ。
As I've explained, I'm in the middle of a move. I've vacated my old place, so I don't have an address.
じゃあご両親の住んでいる実家の住所だ。まさか両親もホームレスだとは言うまい?
I don't have any parents. No siblings or relatives either. They're all dead. Typical main character, usually an orphan.
本当に? やっぱり何か隠してるんじゃないの?
This is going nowhere.
警察署まで来てくれれば無駄な問答をしなくて済むんだけどね。今パトカー呼ぶから少し待っててくれる?
Then at least let me call the person I'm supposed to be meeting. At this rate, they'll be waiting all day.
そりゃ構わないけど。相手は誰? お友達?
I'm not going to tell you that.
言えないような相手なのか?
It's your mother. We had an appointment at a hotel tonight. Yeah, see, this sort of snark, like witty comment thing, you can call it sort of pretentious, right? Or I guess you can say this is something that, like, middle schoolers or high school guys would say.
Huh?
I was keeping quiet out of the goodness of my heart. You dragged it out of me, so don't blame me when your parents get divorced and your happy home is shattered.
バカにしてるのか? え?
About 30 meters away from where we're talking, someone screams. A desperate cry follows within seconds. A woman sits collapsed on the street, stretching out her hand. Her high heels lie on the ground, knocked off her feet by the sudden fall. Just about halfway between us, there's a man in a flashy Hawaiian shirt, running in this direction.
警察か?
Although the thief flinches for a moment at the sight of the policeman's uniform, after a quick check for any convenient side streets, he barrels onward. Brandishing the stolen bag menacingly, his hand violently gestures out of my way. The cop is completely flustered. He's quite clearly unaccustomed to this sort of situation. While he's panicking, the distance between us and the thief shrinks with surprising swiftness. The man runs in a straight line toward a breakthrough to freedom. I happen to be standing directly in the middle of his path. As he prepares to strike with the bag, I ascertain the movement of his shoulder and arm for the first signs of motion, and hit his wrist sharply just as he begins to swing. The man's arm instantly stiffens and loses all momentum. His eyes pop wide open in shock. I immediately grab the color of the Hawaiian shirt he's wearing and firmly draw him toward me. Before the man can offer resistance to my pull, I smoothly reverse and use my body weight to shove against him. When pushed just as they've begun to brace themselves against being pulled, anyone except a genuine expert is going to be thrown off balance. Nice shirt. Where'd you buy it? See, like, this sort of comment is, like, definitely unnecessary, but it's so, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's so dumb of Yuji, I guess. Typically, like, a main character with I guess typically, like, a main character with his, somewhat way of thinking is more edgy, right? Not really the talkative type. Or at least you might think that way, but you don't really voice it out loud. I guess Yuji's kind of a jerk in that way, in that regard. Shock spreads across the man's face as his knees buckle against his will. I try to gain a chokehold using my grip on the neck of his shirt, but the man promptly draws his head back and shifts his body to the side, preventing me from landing a hold on his neck. Although I expected as much from a glance at his build, it seems like he's somewhat experienced in judo. But in this case, you would have been better off trying a decisive tackle. Rotating around the purse snatcher in the opposite direction of his slide, I yank his right arm upward with both hands. In one movement, I've circled to his back. Next, pull back on the opponent's wrist and elbow and pin him to the ground. This is just basic Aikido, by the way. I have never trained in martial arts, so I actually don't know how to do that, Yuji. Hey now, you've got your priorities all wrong. Before worrying about me, you should kill the guy who sold you that shirt. Yeah, like, his comments are always so snarky, or is that a word, snarky? I don't know how else to explain it, I guess. Like, you know, it tries to sting you in a jerkish way. Perhaps unconsciously, the man's now empty right hand desperately slaps at the asphalt. While holding the thief pinned, I quickly shoot a look behind me. Don't just stand there. The policeman jerks up straight in response to my angry shout, taking a pair of handcuffs from the pouch around his waist. He runs over to restrain the criminal. The purse snatcher seems to have resigned himself to his fate and doesn't offer any pointless resistance. He accepts his red-handed arrest for theft docilely, then sits quietly on the ground with his head hung as the policeman radios for backup. Apparently, they weren't too far off, as the siren approaches in no time. Two policemen get out of the arriving cruiser and push the criminal into the back seat. As I'm quietly watching the scene in perfect passivity, the policeman from earlier runs over. I'll pass on the letter of thanks, so how about letting me move on? Figured as much. Shaking my head in exasperation, I silently rebuke myself. Should have just left it alone. As the policeman pushes at my back, a glance at my wristwatch informs me that I'm already 5 minutes late for my meeting. I personally would have left him alone. I'm not a good person. 30 minutes have passed since I was brought to the interrogation room. Familiar is the place where criminals break into flop sweat in TV dramas. I'm sitting on a cheap foldable pipe chair, my arms folded in perfect silence.
そうやって黙ってちゃいつまで経っても帰れないぞ。誰かと待ち合わせをしているんだろ。さっさと話して終わらせた方がいいんじゃないか。
Instead of responding, I close my eyes. A silent statement, indicating that I have absolutely no intention of opening my mouth. Yeah, see, like, this sort of thing actually influenced my my way of thinking a lot back when I was still younger. Like, when people, you know, when you go into someone's house and they tell you to sit down, that means, like, I'm the type that overthinks a lot. So when someone tells you to sit down, that means that, you know, take your time, enjoy your time there, right? I usually decline because in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to be here too long. So it's like, I don't know, I guess my brain just functions weirdly. It's a very weird thing that I do back when I was younger. Nowadays, I don't do that no more because I do think that it's somewhat dumb to try to assume what, you know, what people are thinking, at least too much. The detective clicks his tongue in exasperation at my attitude. I've got a pretty fair idea of what he'll be doing next.
悲しいことがないなら話せるだろう。いつまでだんまりを決め込むつもりだ。
The sound of something being struck and an even louder attempt at intimidation. This is the point where a timid guy would be jumping in his seat with his eyes wide open, or maybe staring at the floor and quivering. As for me, my eyes are still shut and my arms are still folded quietly. My mind is a total blank. I've been accustomed to adults shouting at me like this since I was a child. Following the threat stage, the next step would be for him to grip my hair and jolt me back and forth. But I'm dealing with an official authority group here. I should get off without direct violence this time. Not to say that they won't pull out the old TV cliches and harass me by shining a desk lamp in my eyes, or something of the sort. I can roughly translate the detective's sigh. Goddamn kids these days. I gently open my eyes in order to sneak a look at his disgusted face. The detective sitting in front of me seems to be challenging the Guinness World Record for the most dramatic asymmetry between the left and right sides of the human mouth. Like, are you even reading what the hell is actually being said in this monologue? Like, Yuji has some of the most ridiculous thought process in a main character. Like, who the fuck thinks this way? Or maybe he's just scowling. When I let out a snort of laughter in response to an unexpectedly pleasant sight, the detective scratches his head violently and glares at me.
あのな兄ちゃん、あれに入れ知恵されたか知らないが、警察で黙秘したって何も得はしないぞ。
It won't gain you anything, but you won't lose anything either, except your time. I turn my gaze to the clock on the wall of the sweat box. An hour has already passed since the scheduled time for my meeting.
なんとか言ったらどうなんだ。
The detective strikes the desk with excellent comic timing. The best part is the way he knocks his ashtray off the table every time he does this.
もう、なんなんだよお前は。
His tone distinctly fed up. He stoops down to pick the plastic tray off the floor. Kasami Yuji, occupation student.
だから、そりゃもう何度も聞いたっつんだよ。調べたよ。山梨から来たんだろ。過去の犯罪歴はなし、歩道歴も交通違反もなし。 何かを表彰されるようなこともなし。ここまで綺麗な懲罰なしってのは変だろう。まるで誰かが細工したみてえに真っ白なんだよお前は。お前は一体何者なんだ。
Kazami Yuji, occupation student.
なんだそりゃ。警察に捕まったらそれしか言うなって誰かに言われてんのか。お前どっかのテロリストか。
Kazami Yuji, occupation student. I don't know how he actually does this with a straight face.
もういい。
First it says something, now it's shut up. Talk about hard to please. Our capricious detective scowls yet again and scratches his head. Flakes of dandruff drift grandly through the air. Based on his thoroughly wrinkled suit and heavy stubble, I'd say he hasn't been home in days. You know, this type of thing, you know, where the monologue keeps going on and on and on, it actually is one of the things that I really enjoy about visual novels. Though it depends on the character. Like, some characters just have insanely stupid monologues or just how they think is just ridiculously stupid. But I do think I still enjoy Yuji's really dumb way of thinking. I can say it's more dumb than actually witty compared to how I thought it was back when I was younger.
なあ頼むよ。こっちの事情も考えてくれよ。
Another sigh. It's enough to make me want to heave one myself. Because we both take our work seriously, it seems like we're stuck going around in circles.
さっきのひったくり事件の取り調べも進まないし、厄介なの捕まえたよまったく。
Oh, that's it? I thought he was gonna say some more. Just as we roughly complete this exchange of one-sided bitterness and mutual glaring, there's a well-timed knock at the door, and the sound of it being unlocked.
はい。あ、お疲れ様です。
A slightly plump elderly detective enters the room. Given the respectful tone of the detective I've been chatting with, he's probably a superior of some sort.
どうかしましたか？はい。
After a quick glance in my direction, the elderly detective whispers something into the younger man's ear. Before long, the younger detective turns toward me with a decidedly nonplussed expression.
釈放だとお疲れさん。
Why now all of a sudden?
それはこっちから聞いてくれ。それじゃあな。
With those parting words, the young detective leaves the room. The elderly detective watches him go and then faces me with a greasy smile.
いやー、すみませんでしたね、風見さん。こちらに連絡が行っていなかったようで、先ほどようやっとあなたの身元保証人の方と連絡が取れた次第でして。
They're not very, like, what is it? They're not very subtle in telling you just what the hell Yuji is. In the anime, it's actually a lot easier to tell what the hell Yuji is, but here, I guess it's actually still pretty easy to tell what he is. But yeah, the anime, I don't think the anime actually follows the plot of this game, so it's kind of weird. A lot of things got changed. I personally enjoy it for what it is, but I don't really recommend people who like this the visual novel to watch the anime because there's just too many different stuff. And usually people want you know, like a one-to-one reproduction of the visual novel to anime. The detective stares at me with eyes like a dead fish.
被害の関係者なら最初からそう言っていただかないと。
Ah, this is also something that I don't like about the official release of this game. So, back when I first played this, it was in Japanese, right? And when I was playing it for till completion the second time, it was in English, but it was using a fan translation. And on the fan translation, they actually tell you what the hell Ichigaya is on the top right of the menu, or on the top right of the screen here. So, as someone who's not familiar with what the hell Ichigaya is, it was actually really helpful. I think Ichigaya is like someone who works for the government or something. I think. I can't be too sure about that because there's no tips for it anymore. If you'd known I was from Ichigaya from the start, wouldn't you have thrown me in jail, stripped me naked, and sprayed me down with a hose?
まさかご冗談を。うちは天下の桜だもんですよ。
See, like, what the hell is Sakuradamon? Back when I was still playing the fan translation, they actually gave you like a short glimpse or at least a tip thing about what the hell Sakuradamon is. The official translation doesn't have it, and I feel like that's such a dumb thing. Do they actually expect people that aren't Japanese to read this and they're supposed to know what the hell these terms are? Just to let you know, I'm nothing but a student. My work at Ichigaya is only a part-time cleaning job.
掃除ですか。なるほどね。うまいことおっしゃいますな。さすがはインテリさんの集まりだ。
In response to my words, the detective twists his mouth into something vaguely resembling a smile.
いやー、ですからね。そちらさんもそんなご事情ならば、もっと早く言っておいていただければよかったんですが、ご存知かと思いますが、上があれですから、いろいろとややこしくてね。
sarcasm drifting from every pore of his body. The detective treats me with transparently insincere courtesy. Courtesy? Courtesy? I think it's courtesy. He's perfectly civil on a superficial level, but the atmosphere in here is growing increasingly unpleasant. The younger detective from before, hard-ass that he was, seems infinitely preferable. Did you inquire to Ichigaya about me?
いいえね、あなたのお名前をデータベースで検索させたんですがね、検索している最中に電話が鳴りまして、受話器を上げてみたら防衛省の特別の機関からのお電話でして、うちの犬がそちらで保護されていないかと聞きましてね。いや、驚きましたよ実際。うちは保健所じゃありませんからね。
Since you found my owner and confirmed that my leash is properly attached, I should be able to leave now, right?
どうぞご自由に。ああ、そうそう。あなたが今度転入なさる学園の学園長からもこちらに連絡がありましたよ。
That's so.
なかなかいらっしゃらないからと近隣の署に片っ端から連絡を入れたそうですよ。おかげでうちの所長も会議の途中で電話に引っ張られたようでして、散財闇を言われたと言っておりました。
Where's my backpack?
お預かりした荷物は玄関に出してありますので、そちらで。なんでしたらうちの車でお送りしましょうか。
You're not getting funds from public taxes in order to chaffer? I don't know how to say that word, but I know what it means. Chaffer bums like me around, are you? I'll walk. After I'm urged out the door by the old man, the young detective appears from the rear, carrying the backpack they'd taken from me earlier. But yeah, I guess, now that I'm playing this as I'm older, I could understand why younger me would probably like Yuji. He's kind of like an independent, like his first impression is actually beating a freaking thief, right? And with such a rugged / rough way of thinking, you know, like, I'm not saying that I'm a girl, but if I were a girl, I'd probably want to find someone like this. If I were a girl. But yeah, I could see why I somewhat idealized this type of person back when I was younger.
とんでもない重さだな、これは。一体何が入ってるんだ？
Bit of a tough question. I guess you could say my life.
ギャグだとしたら出来は悪いぞ。
That wasn't really what I was going for.
まあ、そんなことはどうでもいい。ちょっと。
Dropping the backpack next to me, the detective lets out a slight sigh. Thanks for lugging it out here. Pretty heavy, isn't it?
仕事で柔道やってるような人間に言う言葉じゃないな。田舎の警察とはいえ、その辺は仕込まれてる。
True. Guess that's natural for a policeman. Sorry. The detective smiles wryly.
なあ、お前、埋め立て地の学生なんだってな。
I'm wearing the school uniform. You can see at a glance.
制服が着られているって感じだがな。
He claps my shoulder as we pass each other.
気をつけてな。いろんな意味で。
With those parting words, he heads back into the police station. Guess I don't make a convincing student yet. I'm wearing black slacks and a short-sleeved dress shirt, as well as a blue tartan check necktie. Excluding my somewhat longish hair, I should be the very image of a student. I guess it's a little difficult, turning into something like that all of a sudden. But it's probably precisely because this is difficult that I decided to give it a try. For a while, I myself didn't understand why I'd ask for this. But now, I think I have a faint grasp on the reason. I wanted to become something that I couldn't understand. Something that I wasn't. At the moment, I've done nothing but smooth down my edges a bit. Perhaps later on, I'll become a student on the inside as well. The sun had been climbing upward earlier has now finally reached its zenith. The temperature keeps on rising, and sweat oozes from my skin. I was pretty sure she'd pick me up, but... Sensing a presence, I lower my gaze from the sun. My eyes, well accustomed to high contrast lighting, project a human form in silhouette for only the briefest of moments before the details fade in. A woman raising an awkward salute, grinning broadly, I think it's broadly, stands before my eyes. Spare me. I don't want to see a pose like that outside the workplace. In the first place, what's with that dopey salute? The girls in bikinis on the Martin SDF recruitment posters have more impressive form.
もういいじゃないの。早速のお仕事をねぎらってるのに。
I don't recall contributing enough to society today to deserve any appreciation.
はいはい。来た早々とんでもない目にあったのはわかるけど、八つ当たりはしないでちょうだい。そんなことより。
She opens the door of the car stopped next to her.
乗って。目的を遂行する方が最優先。でしょ?
Yeah, true enough. Oh, that was really awkward. I thought the animations are kind of skipped, isn't it? From Mishima Keep Police Station to National Highway number 133, southbound, we proceed to the Prefectural Highway and advance further out toward the Cape. A range of slowly rotating wind turbines come into view, indicating our proximity to the sea.
びっくりしたのよ。時間になっても現れないし、これは何かあったんだって連絡したら、案の定警察の厄介になってるし、この暑さだから熱射病で倒れてるのかと思っちゃった。
I doubt you really thought I was sick.
どうしてそんなことが言えるの?
You're trying to police stations first, not the hospitals.
そりゃあなたのことだからぶっ倒れる前に何とかするとは思ったけど、一応体のこと気遣ってるんだから素直に聞けばいいのに。
Accuracy in weather forecasts and interpersonal communications make society run smoother. I don't know why he said this. Okay.
可愛くない。
Pouting again, she continues her range. I don't know what that is.
第一、ここにだって本数は少ないけど電車は通ってるんだから、それで来ればよかったのに歩いてきちゃうんだもん。それも聞いてびっくりしたのよ。ヒマラヤにでも登るような大荷物背負ってるって。
I actually don't remember why Yuji doesn't like the trains. I mean, I'm okay with walking short distances, like I'm okay with walking 5 kilos at most, but if I'm walking like 10 kilos and plus, I'd rather use some sort of vehicle. Sorry, I hate trains.
だからって歩いてくるなんて常識外れよ。どうしたの？黙っちゃって。
Could you not mention this to the other students? I don't want them getting funny ideas about me from the get-go.
変なのが来たって警戒されるかもね。確かに。
I got enough of that from the police to last me a while.
やっぱり食し続けてたのね。はい、着いたわ。ここよ。
The car proceeded about 500 meters along an area of reclaimed coastal land before she brought it to a stop. Reclaimed coastal land, huh? I think over here it used to be... Oh, I don't know. Like, I don't really know a lot about property, but I think like reclaimed coastal land isn't really legal back in the day. Or at least it's hard to get the papers for it. So that's what he meant by landfill. I see. As I'm recalling the words of the detective from before, the woman continues our conversation with a suddenly cheerful tone.
どう？立派でしょ。この近隣の学校の中では一番新しいのよ。
Very nice. Barely even looks like a school. Although I'd heard it was a new school, its external appearance genuinely isn't what I expected. A 3-story building. The pure white color of the outer walls is the only typical school-like element, with every other aspect more closely resembling a city office building. The gates to the right and left are less evocative of a school gate than a functional fence at some facility. The mounted signboard, likewise, is a utilitarian thing printed in a simple typeface rather than a hand-drawn work of calligraphy.
これからここがあなたの母校になるのよ。感慨深くない？
I don't think even younger people nowadays feel that way. I've only just arrived at this place. If I said I was deeply moved by the sight, it'd be a lie.
味もそっけもない。人間想像力が大事なのよ。
Nothing wrong with being a dull person. I don't think I'm necessarily someone that's good in a party myself. With an exaggerated sigh, she opens her hands wide in the overblown gesture of a third-rate actor.
新設校だからあまり学校のイメージがないかもしれないけど、学生だってちゃんと普通のいい子たちがいるのよ。だから
Damn, that was loud.
え
Oh my god, the English. I forgot about this. A welcome, a welcome, surprise, of course. A rigmarole is abruptly interrupted by the high-pitched shrieks of two girls.
やめなさいマキナやめなさいってお願いだからあまねなんで逃げるのセミかわいいよ虫は大嫌いなのよ
But yeah, I said this previously, but Amane is actually voiced by the same voice actor that voiced Natsumi from Shari no Kuni. So playing this game, knowing that fact, I might have some soft spot for Amane now.
助けて
Jesus.
むせ返るほど笑ってんじゃないわよマキナあんた後で覚えてなさいよおやつ抜きにするんだからその普通の
Normal? Could you define that term? Is there a class where we chase each other around brandishing insects?
違うのよあの子たちはそのね
I've seen worse, don't worry. I don't think I do, but it's nice to see that it's a lively school.
でしょとりあえず行きましょうか中に
Having apparently forgotten what she was planning to do with her outspread hands, she totters through the school gate. Her office is positioned quite near the school building's front entrance. The furniture is nicely arranged, based around an old-fashioned desk and chair. In contrast to the incongruity of the building's external appearance, this room is a textbook example of the old-fashioned principal's office.
そこ座って
I sit on the genuine leather sofa that's one of the room's more prominent furnishings. After waiting for me to settle myself, she lowers herself into the seat across from me.
学園長の立花千鶴ですようこそ美浜学園へはじめましてそれともお久しぶりねの方がいいかしら風見くん
On a practical level, nice to meet you might be the better option.
そっかそうね確かに
With a slight amused smile, Principal Tachibana takes out a pamphlet.
まああなたのことだからもう概要は知ってるとは思うけど一応説明はしておくわ
She flips past a couple pages of the brochure. I hadn't noticed, but her fingernails are lightly polished.
ここは学校法人榊学園の運営する私学の学園で全国から選ばれた学生たちを集めて日々勉学に励んでいるの榊学園の母体は関東一円に私鉄網を持つ東浜急行電鉄グループその資金力をもって最高の設備と教職員を揃えているわまず
The principal's talk shifts to more detailed matters. The East Beach Express is an enormous corporate group with its hands in real estate and large-scale retail, but its core business is the management of the rail line connecting Tokyo and Haneda Airport. The EBE, I already forgot what the hell it is. East Beach Express, there we go. Management is shouldered by the Sakaki family, and it seems plausible that this Sakaki Academy Corporation is also administered by them directly. But that's only a guess based on circumstantial evidence. There's a lack of public information on the secretive corporation's activities. The very existence of this academy isn't well known. I didn't gain anything that could be called definitive proof from my investigation so far.
あなたは2年生として学園に入ってもらいます早速明日のホームルームで転校のことをお知らせするからそれ以降は自由に振る舞って構わないわ
Her fingers come to a stop. Bringing her hands gently together, the principal raises her gaze from the pamphlet and meets my eyes.
どうあなたのお望み通り普 通の学園生活を送るには最適の環境だと思うけど。
I have a few questions.
どうぞ。
First, today is a weekday, but there was barely anyone on the school grounds. What's going on?
少数精鋭なのよ。学生数はあなたを入れて6人だけなの。
Only 6?
そうよ。
I wish there was actually more people in this academy. The elite few,
ええ、
that include our friends with the cicada just now.
もちろん。
Question 2, where am I living from today on?
全寮制なの。後で学生寮の場所を案内します。そこからここに通ってちょうだい。
A dormitory, is it?
寮といっても十分な広さのある個室だから安心よ。
In that case, not a problem.
以上かしら。
Before we finish, one last thing.
はい、どうぞ。
For this last question only, I stare directly into her eyes. I need to confirm the principal's intentions in bringing me here. After all said and done, is this a normal school? The principal closes her mouth. After a moment of silence, she opens it again.
え、
A gentle smile. I'm convinced that she isn't lying to me to further some hidden self-interest.
あなたがあの時に言った希望、ちゃんと覚えているわよ。
The principal slowly stands up and walks to the window side. The athletic grounds are visible from the window. Although resembling those of a normal school, the grounds are skirted by an improbably high wall.
普通の学園に入って普通の学生生活が送りたい。
The mere handful of students, the bizarrely extravagant facilities, the on-campus dormitory, the high wall surrounding it all. They clearly indicate abnormality.
でもね、あなたも分かってると思うけど、あなた自身の境遇を考えると、ここしか条件に合うところがなかったのよ。
I guess you're right.
私はあくまでもここは普通の学園だとあなたに言います。
The principal turns to face
だ
me.
からあなたもここで普通に過ごしてくれればいいわ。何かしてほしいとか私から言うことはありません。
Understood.
それじゃ寮の方へ案内するわ。
Yeah. With a nod, I rise to my feet. Oh, that was really bad on the ears. On the grounds outside, a gust of salty sea air kicks up a cloud of sand.
ここが学生寮よ。管理室も含めると部屋数は全部で11。各部屋ごとにお風呂とトイレとキッチンが備え付けられてるから生活の心配はないわ。家具も一通り揃ってるしね。
Damn, that's really extravagant.
何キョロキョロしてるの？
The cicada pair from earlier don't seem to be around.
ああ、スオさんとイリスさんのことね。二人ともまだ学園に残っているのかもね。小峰さんもいないようだし。
That Komine guy is student here too?
その子に寮の案内を頼んでいたんだけど姿が見えないから。
So you don't have a minute grasp on the movements of the students, I see.
私はほら単なる学園長だから。
Merely, is it?
ちょっと待ってね。部屋にいるのかもしれないから。
Yeah, some of the stuff that Yuji actually talks to the principal about, like, the way he phrases it is definitely, you know, a lot more direct than what I would first initially thought when I was playing it at the time. The principal walks toward the interior of the building. Left there by myself, I stare vacantly up at the ceiling. Soon, I've unconsciously fallen into my habit of counting the number of visible sprinklers, then roughly estimating the scale of the building. I'm actually pretty good at roughly estimating how big a building is nowadays, since my sister has actually been looking for a house to buy, so I kind of know at least just, well, I guess it can't be, you can't really compare a building to a house. Like, as big as a house, how big is it gonna be, right? Even a mansion can't really be as big as a building, I guess. Calculating the time needed to gain control of the front entrance and ascertaining the location of the emergency exits. Not that many support pillars, are there? Guess that's why the ceiling is a bit low.
あの
Having grown absorbed in analyzing the building, I don't even notice the tug at my sleeve.
私の声聞こえてますか？
Until the final excuse me of many finally catches my ear.
あなたは今日到着予定の転入生さんですか？
I drop my gaze in the direction of the voice and find a girl in housemate clothes looking up at me. Not that she's of particularly diminutive height, except in comparison to a taller male like me.
それとも不審者さんでしょうか？
No one's going to admit that they're an intruder if you ask them point blank.
そういえばそうですね。目から鱗です。
The maid nods several times, slowly closes her eyes, and begins to repeat my words.
不審者かと尋ねられて不審者だと答えるやつはいない。不審者かと尋ねられて不審者だと答えるやつはいない。大丈夫。それでは質問の仕方を変えて、あなたは不審者さんではない人でしょうか？
Flexible thinking isn't your strong suit, clearly.
はい。
No, never mind. So, what does a maid want with me?
ですから私はあなたが怪しい人かどうかを確認しています。
This would be the second time today I've heard that pickup line.
それはおめでとうございます。それであなたは不審者さんではない人なんでしょうか？
You're a lot tougher than you look, maid.
小峰さん、ちょうどよかった。こちらが今度転入することになった風見くんよ。
At this point, having noticed our voices, the principal calls out to the girl. It seems this maid was Komine all along.
やっぱりあなたが転入生さんだったんですね。
I'm Kazami Yuji. Good to meet you.
はい、こちらこそよろしくお願いし
Oh,
ます。
sorry. I don't think you introduced yourself.
すみません。下の名前はサチです。よろしくお願いします。
And this time, it's nothing but the first name. I had this thought earlier with the earlier two, but you've certainly gathered some unique elites here.
学生の個性を伸ばすのが学園の役目だから。
Which would mean that she's a student too.
小峰さんはこの学園の1年生よ。あなたには小峰さんが教壇に立つような年に見えた？
I mean, you clearly don't look the age that you're supposed to be, I think, Chizuru. That's not really my point of confusion here. Our uniform creates certain preconceptions. For example, if I see a girl wearing bunny ears in a bar, I don't ask what she's done with her Bible.
小峰さんは普段からメイド服でいることが多いから。
That's not an explanation.
確かにそうね。それじゃあ小峰さん、説明してあげて。わかりました。私はクラス委員を任されている関係で、よく先生方のお手伝いや雑用をお願いされることが多いのですが、なんだかメイドさんみたいだねという話から、ちょっとメイド服着てみなよと促され。
I'm thinking this is just the author trying to put in like a maid character in this game and trying really hard to make it, make sense.
実際着てみたらやっぱり似合うから、なるべく普段から着た方がいいよと提案されたので、なるべく普段からメイド服を着るように
I'm
心
not
がけてい
complaining
ま
though.
す。
I see. You're a devoted one. That fallen bunny girl's sister could learn a thing or two from you.
はい、ありがとうございます。
I wasn't really intending that to be a compliment, but there's no point in telling her that.
じゃあここからは彼女に案内してもらって。その方が話もできていいでしょう。
No objections.
それじゃあ小峰さん、あとはお願いね。わかりました。それではまず1階から案内していきますね。
Yeah, if you would. The maid slowly begins to walk, but quickly comes to a stop in front of the management room. Stop dead. She's staring at me with an expression that clearly indicates she has something to say. What's wrong? You need something?
その あなたのことを何とお呼びしたらいいのか聞き忘れていました。
Come to think of it, you're right.
すみません。
Well, you can call me whatever you want.
それでしたらゆうくんと呼ばせていただいてもよろしいでしょうか。
We've gotten pretty familiar all of a sudden.
では風見さんというのはいかがでしょう。
Sure. Anyway, I'll call you Sachi.
サチ。
My bad. Would Sachimon be better?
いえ、サチで構いませんよ。
Her expression didn't change in the slightest, but her eyes at the moment she spoke those words had its strange forcefulness. That's so. Alright, Sachi. Best regards and all that.
はい。
Judging from her smile, it seems she doesn't dislike being called Sachi.
それでは早速なのですが、寮に入って最初に見えるこの部屋が風見さんのお部屋になります。
Nameplate seems to say it's the management room though.
学園長さんのお話では、風見さんには寮長を兼ねてこの部屋に住んでほしいとのことでしたけど。
In other words, she wants me to play the prison guard. Well, at the very least, 3 out of the 6 students living in this dorm are females. It would probably be prudent to have a room as far as possible from theirs to avoid potential trouble. Mind if I take a look inside?
はい。これが部屋の鍵です。どうぞ。
I actually do wish that there are more males in this game. That's fairly true. But you know, I guess this is marketed as a game where you try to romance the girls, so I can't really blame them for that. When I open the door with the key she hands me, a prominently placed set of kitchen and household goods catches my eye. They seem to be in good shape, and I can confirm with a glance that the room itself will be a more than adequate living environment given my needs.
この寮のすべての部屋には火災報知器が1つと2つのスプリンクラーが設置されています。
Got it. She seems to have guessed my thoughts from the direction of my gaze.
そこは1畳半ほどのウォークインクローゼットになっていると聞いています。
That's actually quite big for a walk-in closet. A little test, I focus my eyes on a different point of interest, and she provides an explanation in the same way. Although she's a little off in some departments, she seems to be pretty sharp in her other respects. I see. Looks like there won't be any problems. As I speak, I twist the faucet over the sink. Was someone using this room before I came?
いいえ、少なくとも4ヶ月は誰も使っていなかったはずですが。
The water is pretty clear, considering.
まあ、建物自体新しいですし、風見さんがいらっしゃる前はこの部屋を倉庫代わりに使用することもあったので、その時に誰かが水道を使っていたのかもしれません。私も時々お掃除の時にバケツの水を汲むために使っていましたから。
I see. I twist the faucet to stop the water, drop the luggage I've been carrying on a spot, and promptly leave the room.
それから玄関を入って正面のスペースはみんなの共有の場所になっています。
The standard student dorm community space, is it?
はい。マキちゃんやアマネさんなんかはよくここで過ごしていますよ。
That's so. Although I haven't heard those names before, they must be other students.
それから風見さんの部屋の隣はボイラー室。その正面が階段で、その奥には4つの部屋があって、階段の隣の3号室が私の部屋になります。
Give me a second. Sorry about that. My brother was here, so I was talking for a tiny bit. Alright, let's continue on. I'd heard there are 11 rooms in total. Any reason why you picked one on the first floor?
それは私の名前がサチなので、さっちゃんなら3号室でしょと。
I get the idea.
ここが2階です。2階は基本的に部屋のみの構造となっていて、私以外の学生さんは全員この階に住んでいます。
Which would mean 2 of these are vacant.
はい、7号室と9号室は現在空き部屋になっています。3階はこの大浴場をはじめとした戦闘的な構造になっています。階段の反対側には コインランドリーや物干しスペースもあるので、必要な時に利用してください。もし洗濯自体が苦手なようでしたら、私に言っていただければ代行しますので。
Man, that's so nice. I actually hate doing laundry. Technically, I guess it's not really hard. Just put it in the washing machine, and nowadays, you know, like, not even nowadays, even back in the day, washing machine with included dryers are also a thing. Wouldn't taking care of someone else's chores be a nuisance?
クラス委員ですから。
Alright, I'll keep that offer in mind.
はい。
There's no reason to refuse outright when the offer is delivered with such an earnest smile. By the way, can we use this grand bathroom as we please?
はい。清掃は専門の業者さんが定期的にやってくれているので、清掃中以外は24時間利用可能です。ただ、男湯と女湯に分かれているわけではないので、風見さんが入浴する際は入り口にこの札をかけるようにしてください。
As she speaks, she hands me a card that reads, "In use, male bathing." Sure, I think I might take advantage of it pretty often. The view up here is pretty nice.
そうですね。周りには校舎の他に高い建物もないですし、ガラスの透過率も 75% ですから、海面に沈む夕日を眺めることもできますよ。
Yeah, this bathroom is really huge. An ocean view, huh? Not bad.
ご希望ならすぐに入ることもできますけど。
As she speaks, I notice Sachi's already holding a towel and change of clothes in her hand. You're pretty well prepared.
この大浴場を見た大体の人はすぐに入ってみたくなるみたいなので。
I see. The fruit of your experience, is it? What's wrong?
風見さんのための着替えではなく、私の着替えを持ってきてしまいました。
I mean, if you were actually rummaging through my belongings, that would be a red flag in and of itself. As if to demonstrate, female underwear slips out from among the clothes in Sachi's hand. Is this a declaration that you want to bathe together?
いえ、そのつもりはありませんでした。すみません。
I really don't think there's anything to apologize for.
ありがとうございます。では、これで寮の案内は終わりになりますが、何か質問はありますか？
Let's see. Can I ask about something other than the dorm?
私に答えられることでしたら。
In that case, let's hear your 3 sizes, Sachi.
はい。上から82、56、83です。
I don't know how good that is in women's proportions, but it looks good in my eyes. At the moment, is there a specific man you're going out with?
いません。
Your experience with men to date?
ありません。
I know I'm the one who asked you those questions, but answering them so politely, would that also be because you're the class representative?
クラス委員はみんなの役に立ってこそのクラス委員ですから。
What an admirable devotion to customer service.
ありがとうございます。他に質問はありますか？
Nothing comes to mind.
わかりました。もし他に聞きたいことができたら、部屋にある内線電話で3番を押してください。私の部屋につながるので。
That time it was actually my hands twitching. Got it.
それでは私はこれで失礼しますね。
With that note of farewell, Sachi bows like a genuine housemaid and starts to turn away. Sachi.
はい。
Thanks for the tour. I appreciate it.
はい。
The class representatives these days seems to be a surprisingly tough-willed breed. Like you have someone else to reference, Yuji. After Sachi's tour ended, I took another look around the interior of the building on my own. By the time I returned to my room, the sun is already low in the sky and the light growing dim. Should probably put this stuff away before it gets dark. Opening my backpack, I pull out the contents and begin to put them away on the shelves I've been provided with. It's a real help that I've got a closet. Things I can leave in a visible place, and things to be stowed away in the back. Dividing my possessions between the two, the latter are clearly more numerous. Normal, huh? While looking over my mountain of luggage, I mutter in a self-deprecating tone. As I work, the sun sinks leisurely into the sea, At my usual time, 4:45 a.m., I woke up in my usual way and ran the course I'd marked down mentally on my way here. To tell the truth, when I was stopped by the policeman yesterday, it was because I'd been wandering back and forth in the same place. I'd been planning out a possible marathon route, in other words. I woke up at the usual time, ran at the usual time, and now I'm eating my usual breakfast menu. You know, the more I think about it, the more I actually resemble this sort of lifestyle nowadays. Most likely because I'm... What is it? Like, after I got into fitness and all that, my life has been going in a pretty decent schedule, and it's actually nice. Before, it was actually pretty messy. But yeah, I wake up on the usual time, I do my exercises on the usual time, I go to work, and yeah, I don't play games as much anymore, but I'm doing something more fulfilling, I think. I don't know though. Most of my eating habits are also the same. Lots of ramen, lots of noodles, or I guess ramen and noodles are the same. But yeah, lots of burgers, donuts every month. Yeah. I like eating. No different from the days when I was living together with my master in the mountains. My standard tempo of living. If there is a difference, it's limited to the slight surprise I felt when I opened my eyes and found a roof over my head. During my hike from Yamanashi, I'd gotten used to sleeping in the open. So when I woke up inside a room, there was a slight feeling of unease as I thought, right, I'm living in a dorm now. That mild discomfort hadn't disappeared even now as I'm eating my corn cereal. It's hard to settle down inside a new lair until it's ingrained with your scent. I guess it depends. I personally think I can sleep mostly anywhere, as long as it's comfortable enough. Even so, I'll start living at this tempo every day from now on, going to school every morning, so there's no real need to rush things. If I actively spend every day packing myself with potentially useful knowledge, someday this sort of lifestyle might come naturally to me. The effort strikes me as a little troublesome, but as my master once told me, when it comes to your life and your women, a little bit of trouble is just about right. I prefer no trouble at all, to be honest. Though, I guess a life without trouble could get boring. Speaking of women, they're a simple bunch, but that doesn't make them any less difficult to handle. I learned that much in my first year living with my master. In my master's words, when you're a brat, running fast is enough to make you popular. When you're a middle schooler, the guys who can fight will be popular. And after that, it's the guys with brains who get the girls. Actually, no, I think it's the guys with money. I don't know about that. This master of yours is not really all that wise. In other words, run, punch, and read books, and you'll never run dry. What do you think? Short and sweet, right? That was her theory, at least. The things she said were always ridiculously simplistic. Honestly, I ignored those words with a snort the first time I heard them. But my master was a woman who put her beliefs into practice. Every morning she made me run, and every day she hit me with a stack of books. Although I don't know if she's to blame, I still run 16 kilometers every morning, and habitually read books whenever I have free time. I don't run 16 kilometers, because I don't like running, but I do bike almost every day. Sometimes I am a bit lazy though, but it's kind of rare that I actually skip a biking session. Reading books, can you say visual novels or books? I've been reading quite a bit, I guess, but I don't really read non-fiction books all that much. Sometimes she was harsh, sometimes she was sweet. She would emit an abrasive, overpowering aura at times. But every once in a while, she could be so gentle that I thought my brain would melt out my ears. That was my master, a woman with a sizable build who was nonetheless very picky about the little things. I've had a hard time dealing with large women ever since those days. But being aware of that fact doesn't mean I can fix it. That's actually true. Sometimes people know that they have, you know, very bad habits, but doesn't mean that they try to fix it or even put in the effort to try to fix it. That actually annoys me sometimes, but I guess I'm also the same in some way. It's not that I dislike them on a conscious level, but whenever I see a tall woman, I can't help but feel wary out of pure instinct. If you ask why I'm bringing this up all of a sudden, well, That would be because I've just been reminded that there's a large woman at this school as well.
痛い。そんなに強くしたらダメ。ダメなの。こら逃げるな。じっとしてなさいよもう。つか、ダメって言うの。
Since this place is a student dormitory, it's of course only natural that a community of students would already be living here, and it's entirely probable that they have their own rules that I don't know yet. Also, I'm a country hick fresh from the rural areas of Yamanashi, so it goes without saying I'm poorly versed in the customs and rituals of this land. I don't know why he phrased it like that, but okay. I have no way of penetrating the depths of significance that might be hiding in an action that, at a glance, looks to be a simple case of bullying. What game's this? What are the rules?
Eh?
The puzzled faces staring back at me are familiar. It's the little girl, big woman combo I arbitrarily named the Cicada Sisters when I first arrived at the school yesterday.
誰?
Who do you think?
質問に質問を返すのはバカの証拠だって誰かが言ってたよね。
That's so. I suppose that means I'm irredeemably stupid. Please call me Moron Boy as if we've been friends for 10 years, Cicada Sisters.
セミ姉妹?
I saw the pair of you from the gate yesterday. One of you was swinging a cicada around, and the other was shrieking, if I remember correctly.
変なとこ見られたな。あれはまあ、なんだ、その、忘れて。
I'll see what I can do.
あ、ねえ、もしかして今日転入してくる学生って君?
Yeah, Kazami Yuji. Good to meet you. I thrust at my right hand, but the tall woman in front of me doesn't show any sign of grasping it. She's stiffened on the spot, staring fixedly at my face. It looks as though she's even forgotten to breathe. Something wrong?
そうか、握手か。ごめんごめん。
The big woman's frozen expression suddenly melts, and she lightly shakes my hand. It's an unexpectedly small, but decidedly cold hand.
風見裕二? 裕二くんか。なるほどね。私は周防天音。はじめまして、裕二くん。ほら、マキナ。あんたも自己紹介は? Why do I? 別に噛みつきゃしないわよ。名前は? マキナ。イリス・マキナ。
Iris Machina. Iris is a Greek god, and isn't Machina a Latin word? Literally translated, it would be something like Mecha Rainbow Goddess. What country are you from?
耳で聞くと確かにそう聞こえるかもしれないけど、漢字で書くと入江の入に巣鴨の巣、種まきのまきにナッパの名でイリスマキナ。
I actually think the fan translation tells you this in, like, they actually show you the kanji instead of this. This is so dumb. Like, this localization is... I don't want to bash it too much, but I really do like the fan translation a lot more. I did think that they actually used the fan translation, but for some reason, they edited out a lot of the stuff that made the stuff more convenient. At least when I read it. Wasn't she speaking English just now?
ああ、この子、言語やがちょっとね。それに親の都合で6歳まで海外を飛び回ってたから。
I see. Well, good to meet you. Staring at my outstretched hand in silence, Makina clings to Amani's back as if trying to hide herself. What's wrong?
ああ、ごめん。この子、人見知りが激しいっていうか、男の子に慣れてないのよ。病院生活が長かったってのもあって、同世代の男の子が珍しいっていうか、どう接すればいいのかわからないみたいなのよね。
I withdraw the hand I'd been holding out toward Makina. There's no need to force her to deal with me in the first place, I guess.
いいのよ。そうやって甘やかすといつまで経ってもこのままなんだから。ほら、マキナ、握手は?
Who's to say that changing is for the better, though?
じゃないわよ。ちゃんと挨拶できない子はおやつあげないわよ。
Is don't get any snacks supposed to be an effective threat in this day and age? Or so I thought. But hearing those words, Makina bites her lip tightly and extends her right hand toward me with a strained expression. I gently clasp her small hand and put on the natural-looking fake smile I learned from my master. I'm Kazami Yuji. Good to meet you.
イリス・マキナです。よろしく。
Her voice is small and marked by a distinct lisp. I don't know what a lisp is. Her hand is as tiny as her body, and it's hot like that of a child.
ねえ、怖くないでしょ？挨拶だけじゃなくて、他に何かお話ししたいことは？好きな動物は何ですか？
Man, I really do think you're making things a lot more awkward right now, Amane. I like dogs. What about it?
へえ、答えてから質問するのね。
I'm not really the indecisive sort. I don't hesitate when I need to come up with an answer. Even more so when I have an important decision to make. Compared to failing without even trying, I'd rather take action, even at the risk of a mistake.
おお、かっこいい。
That's actually very abrupt of you to say, Yuji, but I guess you want to show people how you are or what you're like. Are you mocking me?
まさか。
Then why'd you laugh?
なんでだろうね。
I've heard answering a question with another question is a sign of stupidity.
あらそう。じゃあきっと私はバカなのね。これからは10年来の友達のようにバカねと呼んでちょうだい。
Got it, moron girl.
今はまだ笑ってるけど、次呼んだら怒るよ。
What a troublesome woman.
あれ、もう行っちゃうの？
I don't feel like being late on my first day.
授業が始まるまでまだ1時間はあるわよ。
I'm used to waiting. I'll kill time sightseeing over there or something.
それが悪いとは言わないけど、変わってるね。
I mean, back when I was still in high school, actually, well, not necessarily an hour before class. Actually, not when I was in high school. This is more when I was in middle school. I would be like half an hour early before class and I would copy my my friends' schoolwork and all that. Pretty nice. In high school, I think I barely got in time because it was a lot closer to my house compared to middle school. I get that a lot. Well, I'll see you in class.
あ、ユージ君、ちょっと待って。
What?
私からも一つ質問していいかな？
If it's something I can answer.
その、ごめん、やっぱいいや。
If you've got something to say, spit it out. No need to hold back.
また後で聞くわ。もう少し考えをまとめてから。
I see. I don't understand the thought patterns of large women. My master would probably say, if you don't understand by now, you never will. But my own thoughts are more along the lines of, even if I could understand, why bother? Exactly, that's also my way of thinking nowadays. Even if I understand, why the hell would I even care? It's not my way of thinking. Well then, having said that to Amane, I'm confronted with the fact that there are no sights particularly worth seeing here. There's easily an hour until the start of class. I've obviously woken up too early. Well, still better than being late, I guess. Might as well wait in the classroom. Right after I mumble those words, just as I begin walking down the hallway... What the? As I'm making my way toward the classroom, the principal had described yesterday, I hear something resembling a scream. No, not a scream exactly. The hell? Although it doesn't seem to be an emergency situation, I'm certainly a bit concerned by the sound. It's dramatically out of place in the otherwise quiet morning schoolhouse. For the time being, I decide to approach. When I peer inside through the hallway window, I find a single woman shouting in the direction of the blackboard. Judging from the fact that she's wearing a uniform, it would seem that she's a student here like Sachi, Amane, and Makina. Apparently oblivious to my presence, she continues her routine. After deeply inhaling, Michiru's voice actor. We're not supposed to know that she's called Michiru yet. Sorry about that. But her voice actor is actually pretty popular from what I see. At least in VNDB, she seems to voice a lot of characters. All in one breath, she firmly lets loose a string of syllables, familiar as a vocal tuning exercise.
よし、一息で言えた。いいぞ、私。いや、私。私の言うことが聞けないっていうの？なんか違うな。こんなんじゃ全然ダメだ。こほん。私の言うことが聞けないっていうの？今のは良かったと思う。じゃあ次。あんたのためにやってるんじゃないんだからね。
While staring at the memo pad in her hand, she awkwardly but forcefully rattles off phrases one after the other. It seems like it'd be best to ask her what she's doing directly. This the broadcasting club? In response to my question, or more likely my entrance, the woman leaps up in shock and draws back a good 3 meters. Desks and chairs clatter dramatically in her wake. No, I might have been hasty to assume that from the vocal exercises. The drama clip seems plausible as well. You seem to be saying some kind of lines.
誰ですか？じゃなくて、誰なの？
Just as I'm getting ready to rephrase my question, the woman preempts me with her own. Me, Kazami Yuji. I'll be transferring here as of today.
転校生？この学校に？
Yeah. Nodding, I walk a few steps forward and stand in front of the woman. So, were you doing some sort of rehearsal after all? Sorry if I interrupted.
演技なんかしてない。すよっす。だから何の遠慮もしなくていいの。いや、遠慮しなさい。
Which is it?
いいからそこに座りなさいよ。
I don't quite follow, but if I start asking questions, she'll probably get even noisier, so I choose the path of least resistance.
慌てない。転校生なんだから、ファーストコンタクトがとても大事よ。変わりなさい、ミチル。
After I flop down on a chair, the woman mutters to herself in a low but perfectly audible voice.
私は松島ミチル。よろしくね。
In contrast, she delivers her self-introduction with an artificial brightness. That's so. Initials MM, huh?
そうよ。だからってド M ってわけじゃないんだからね。
I don't know what it is in Japanese before what she said. Because do M, I don't know. I guess double M, right? Yeah. I guess in Japanese it's like double M. Nobody said anything remotely like that.
あ、ごめんなさい。じゃない。そう聞きそうに見えたのよ。
Do you want to be called a masochist that badly?
したくないわよ。つかなんでそうなるの？
This kind of thing is called being the straight guy and I forgot what it's called again. Like, you know, basically a sukomi. It's really hard to translate it in direct English, but like, you know, there's like it's a gag routine basically in Japanese culture. It's a lot more, you know, common nowadays, but back during the time, it was actually something that I wasn't familiar with. Quite an energetic woman. But yeah, she's basically the straight man. She drops the subject and forges boldly on ahead.
そう。私はこのクラスで委員長的なことをしているわ。だから何か困ったことがあったら、私に相談してもいいのよ。
What does that sorta mean?
それは委員長は他にいるからよ。その辺融通は聞かせなさいよ。
Fair enough.
妙に物分かりがいいわね。まあいいわ。それと
The woman's voice suddenly grows quieter.
前もって聞いておくけど、あなたは冗談が通じる方？
I wouldn't call myself an enthusiast.
聞いておいてよかった。
She clears her throat affectedly.
じゃああなたは私のことを特別に名前で呼んでいいことにするわ。本当なら様付けで呼ばなきゃいけないんだけど、許してあげる。やっぱ いこと言っちゃったかな。テンプレではこれでいいはずなんだけど、やっぱりさまづけとか言わない方が良かったのかも。もうその辺の、今のもう一回やりの。
You want me to call you Michiru, yes?
そうよ、それでいいの、それで。
She hums to herself and nods emphatically, apparently satisfied with this result. Next, she takes a colorful wafer of some sort out of a small container and crunches down on it vigorously. What are you eating?
あげないわよ。
Wasn't asking. I was just wondering what those were.
ただのラムネ菓子よ。それがどうかしたの？
That's so. From the way you were showing them off, I was pretty sure you wanted me to ask.
うるさいわね。あんたに見せるためにやったんじゃないわよ。あ、なんか今のうまくいった。多分今のそうよね。結構良かったよね。案外私素質あるのかも。
I got a strange sense of deja vu from her phrasing just now. What was it? One of those long advertisements they put up inside trains? Since I don't write them often, the few I've seen stand out in my memory. Right, they reprinted this idiotic article from a woman's magazine about how to make men fall for you. Purposefully treat them coldly at first, in order to create a contrast for your affection when you make your move.
何いきなり考え込んでるのよ。でこういう時はなんだっけ、私の美しさにぼーっとなっちゃう気持ちも。でそれってなんか違うキャラよね。そうじゃなくて
So you're supposed to be a tsundere.
違うわよ。いや違う、そうなんだけどって。嘘、いきなり言っちゃうわけそれ。
Michiru covers her mouth with her left hand and staggers backward in apparent shock. I mean, it's pretty clear that you are trying to be something that you weren't, Michiru. Her reaction is a bit puzzling, but I think I probably hit the bullseye. I see. I think I understand. You're playing a tsundere in an attempt to attract male attention, yes? But there's still some points I'm not clear on. Like that hair. Why are you bleaching it?
これは地毛よ、地毛。
Please, a genuine blonde has a more natural tone. Not that artificial-looking gold color. I've known a few.
うるさいわね。ヘアマニキュアでいい色合いのがなかったのよ。はっ。
That's so. Next time I happen to visit America, remind me to pick you up some better hair dye. Damn it, Michiru. Now we're on the age of online shopping, damn it. So as I was saying, why bleach it? And that hairstyle is a little odd too. It's not one I see that often.
そう決まってるんだから仕方ないでしょ。
The way what has to be?
ツンデレには呪いがあるのよ。
Michiru begins to mumble her words under her breath as if to enumerate the curse's power.
私は地の髪の色が濃いからブリーチかけても1日放っておかないとダメだし、市販のだと皮膚が荒れちゃうから豊橋のメーカーが作ってるのをわざわざネットで取り寄せてるし、正直面倒くさいわよ。
Okay, so she actually does order it online. That she has to describe the tsundere curse in the first person seems a bit strange, but pointing that out would only prolong this, so I leave it be.
でも金髪でツインテールで、そうじゃないと本当のツンデレとは認めてもらえない。
Man, Michiru must be lurking on those 4chan posts, man. Fucking Michiru.
だけど私、いや私を出すにはこれしかないの。だからそれは否定しちゃいけないのよ。
Michiru jabs out an index finger in my direction and...
ツンデレは金髪ツインテールなの。勝った？いや、わかれ！
As she runs out of breath in grand style, the curtain finally drops on Michiru's one-woman show. The echoing of her ragged breathing is the only sound in the otherwise silent classroom. Exactly 30 seconds pass.
なんで無言なのよ。
It's tough being a tsundere. Got it. I'm not sure if that wasn't what she was looking for or if she's just lost the will to go on. But Michiru glares at me while emitting a sound reminiscent of a malfunctioning industrial machine. Anyway, let's get along, Michiru.
よろしくないわよ。あんた一人でよろしくすればいいじゃない。
Yeah, it goes without saying. I plan to get along just fine on my own.
そこはセオリー通りにちゃんと戸惑ってよ、バカ。
It really isn't easy being a tsundere, is it?
もういい、帰れ。
Finally breaking down, Michiru begins flinging waste paper, permanent markers, and anything else lying around in my direction in an attempt to drive me off. Are you crying? Sorry, my bad. Well, I hope you guys don't hear that. There's actually someone honking near my house.
泣いてない、バカ。
My attempt at an apology seems to only have fueled her anger, so in the end, I decide a temporary withdrawal is in fact called for. Class is starting in another 15 minutes, but it should be fine. I'll just kill some time somewhere.
おはよう。おはようございます。
5 minutes before the start of class, practically the moment after I re-enter the classroom, Amane and Sachi arrive. The tsundere from earlier is looking at me with naked aggression, but noticing the arrival of the others,
おはよう、あまね、サチ。
resuming the performance in question, she promptly calls out to them.
おはようございます、みちる様。
The instant her greeting is returned, Michiru runs over noisily and shakes her hands in front of Sachi.
どうかしたんですか？サチ、あんたそれやめてって言ったでしょ？みちる様っての。でも、これはみちる様が絶対にそう呼べって言ったから。だからあれはその冗談で。一度物理フォーマットしてもう一回入れ直せない？ね。
Michiru, while glancing over in my direction for some reason, desperately entreats Sachi. Amane, leaning on a desk, seems to be occupied with trying to hold in her laughter.
そんな絶対って言ったから。だから私。泣かないで。とりあえず今だけこれ命令。はい、泣きません。
The instant Michiru speaks, Sachi's tears abruptly vanish as if someone threw a switch. Michiru watches her cautiously, sweating heavily.
わかったわよ。特に何も規制とかしないから好きに呼べばいいじゃない。はい、みちる様。
Michiru staggers her way back to her seat, with all the vitality of a limp rag. You feeling alright, Michiru-sama?
殺すわよ。
Sorry, just wanted to give it a try. Michiru collapses weakly onto her desk.
おはよ
Makina's lisping voice sounds from the rear of the classroom. Seems like she might not be used to my presence yet, judging from the way she beelines straight for Amane, hides herself behind her, and steals glimpses at me.
う。おはよう。あんたの人見知りというか、男見知りは本当に筋金入りね。マキナ、大丈夫よ。ちょっとムカつくとこもあるけど、こいつはそんな危ない人間じゃなさそう。
Appreciate it, Michiru.
別にあんたのためにしたわけじゃないわよ。決まった！今のは綺麗に決まった！
Keep up the good work. Apart from the large woman, this bunch seems to present quite a variety of communication difficulties. Nothing but fantastically normal students here, principal. As if in response to my sarcasm, with the chiming of the opening bell, the perfectly normal principal appears before my eyes. Wait a second, there's only 4. As we've arrived at the opening of the school day, I notice a difference from the information I heard yesterday.
みんな揃ってるわね。ってわけでもないか。やっぱり。
Oh, sorry. Standing at the podium, the principal notices the irregularity at a glance.
榊さんは今日はお休みかしら？
Her tone seems to be asking if anyone's familiar with the circumstances.
今日も重要 力出勤じゃないかしら。ここんとこずっとそうだし。確かに最近は夕方からしか来なくなっちゃったわね。ユミちゃんどうしたのかな。何かあったんでしょうか。
Apparently, I'm not the only one with questions about our lone truant.
まあいいわ。風見くんの紹介もしたかったけど、そのうちに会えるでしょ。
You're strangely tolerant.
ちょっといろいろとあってね。じゃあ出席を取ります。
From an open window, the scent of the tide flows into the room. Perhaps because of the walls and steel fences surrounding us on all sides, it's not always easy to remember that this place is in fact close to the sea. In contrast to the breeze and the blue skies, intimations? I have no idea what that means. Intimations of freedom. I guess imitation? No? Is intimation actually a thing? I actually don't know what that word means. The gray of those jutting fences speak of denial and rejection. While my classmates raise their voices energetically, I pass the time staring into that sky. School life, huh?
ここが視聴覚教室です。すべての席にリスニングとヒアリングの機材が揃えられていて、語学学習にも適しています。
I wish back during when I was in high school and middle school, those classes are used for anything but English. Because English is actually one of the easier languages that I was learning. I guess because I learned it from such a young age, but I really wish we used those classrooms for other languages. I was learning Japanese back when I was in high school, but we never used that audio-visual class for it. Along with Mandarin. Looks that way. I can tell from a glance that this place is well equipped. Using the time after the homeroom period, I'm getting a small introduction to the school's facilities from Sachi. Normally this would be the principal's job, but she seems to be occupied with official duties, so I ended up getting another tour from our class rep.
ライブラリはすべて外部にあるサーバーと高速回線でつながっていて、いつでも短時間で検索し鑑賞することができます。だからここには DVD とかブルーレイとかは一本もないんです。
Which would make checking a movie out impossible, I guess. Not like nowadays people use DVDs or Blu-rays or... I guess, I don't know. I personally don't use them anymore.
そうですね。あまねさんはそれで前に残念がってました。
It's the digital age is what it is. Though I don't like how consoles are trying to do it. Sachi smiles a bit wryly as she speaks. Most of this stuff is probably in that pamphlet somewhere, but Sachi's explanations are comparatively to the point, clear, and easy to understand. It seems she's actually quite intelligent.
過去に放送されたテレビ番組も全部ではありませんが鑑賞することができます。ないものについては請求して承認されればサーバーに入れてもらえますので。
Looks like they weren't that sloppy on the casting after all.
何のドラマの話ですか？
The school drama currently being broadcast.
以上になります。
Having completed a general review of the school's facilities, Sachi's explanation comes to an end. Thanks, it was a big help.
いえ、これもクラス委員の仕事ですから。
I guess so.
それより風見さんはまだここに残るんですか？
Yeah, there's still a classmate I haven't met yet after all.
あ、そうですね。
Hearing my response, Sachi's brisk tone gives way to a hesitant mumble.
い
What?
え、なんでもないです。すみません。
After a brisk bow, she quickly runs off down the hallway. Did I trigger a death flag just now? I don't think there's a single person in the world who wouldn't worry after that kind of ominous foreshadowing. Well, that might be an overstatement. There are some pretty carefree people out there. I'm just not one of them. Seems like it would be best to be on my guard, or more so than usual. The light flooding in through the windows has shifted from overhead to my side. It won't be that long until the sun sets. After parting from Sachi, I walk the empty hallway alone. My surroundings are very nearly soundless, thanks to my habitually quiet footsteps. However, inside the stillness, I sense a definite presence at my destination. She finally show up? I hear a faint sound from the interior of the previously silent classroom. With that confirmation, I slowly open the door. The moment I enter the classroom, tension fills the air. And yeah, this definitely does look like Senjo Gahara, because it's the same artist, I think, Watanabe Akio, from the Monogatari series. Behind a window seat desk in the middle of the classroom, a chair rattles as its occupant turns to face me. My immediate impression of the girl, she doesn't appear particularly friendly. Yo. While it might not be the most polite first greeting, I call out casually as I approach in order to demonstrate my lack of malicious intent. Sakaki Yumiko, right? Her expression doesn't change. Sitting on the chair, absolutely stock still, she stares fixedly at me. I'm Kazami Yuji. I'm a new student here as of today. I come to a halt in front of her desk. So, I'll be your classmate as well, it seems. Pulling out a chair from the desk in front of her, I sit down. At the moment, we're about a meter apart. Nonetheless, the woman stares at me so intensely that she seems to be forgetting to breathe. Rather than staring, her expression could probably be more accurately described as glaring. I wasn't able to introduce myself in the morning, but you'd probably be around in the evening. I keep talking regardless, but no response is forthcoming. Maybe she's got a psychological problem with men like Makina. But then again, she didn't try to run when I approached her. I changed my position on the seat to face her directly. Straddling the chair, I leaned forward slightly. The motion has closed the 1 meter gap between us down to about 70 meters. Oh, centimeters. I'd like to at least confirm your identity. Hey! As if to declare her refusal to acknowledge my existence, the woman stands from her seat and briskly moves to exit the classroom. How about at least responding to me? I follow her immediately. The woman opens the classroom's rear door just enough for one person to pass, and tries to slip her way outside. Hey! Calling out again, I try to follow her through that gap. Ugh! In that moment, the woman forcefully slams the door shut. She clearly closed it knowing full well I was trying to follow. Her expression betrays surprise. Maybe she'd been expecting me to get my hand caught in the door or back off from having it slam in my face. Instead, the door she'd attempted to slide close is firmly held open by my hand, an outcome she apparently hadn't been prepared for. You could have broken my hand, you know that? Although she's the one who was trying to shatter my fingers, she's glaring at me like I'm the bad guy here. What exactly did I do to deserve this from someone I've just met? I'm just looking for an intro. Opening the half-shut door, I take a step forward. She doesn't back down. Quite the greeting. I stop the motion of her hand about 5 centimeters before its target. It isn't the most efficient block, but for the purpose of diffusing our reckless hostility, an easily comprehensible action seems necessary. I was expecting something of the sort, but you favored a classic slap to the face, I see. Jesus, Yuji, stop it! Every time I'm reading these lines, damn it, Yuji! Maintaining my grasp on the woman's wrist, I stare her down at short range. As for the woman, she's staring right back, her eyes open wide with shock, completely still. Well then, let me ask you again. The strong orange glow of the evening sun illuminates the classroom. Are you Sakaki Yumiko? Her expression hostile as ever, the woman slowly opens her mouth. With an air of slight resignation, but clearly unwavering in her refusal of any relation with me, she speaks. Okay, good to meet you. As the evening sun fell behind a cloud, its light dimmed, and the classroom filled with shadow. With the sound of Yumiko's breath and the faint roar of the waves from beyond the walls, the curtain was raised on my normal school life. Student life. Is it time for the opening? I think it might be.
末のチャイムで目を覚ます君を守るため定めより強く罪と罰と今運ぶ船に乗せ羽ばたく空へ永遠の深い眠りから取り戻せ約束の場所で手を取り奏でたプログラム巡れゆく宇宙の彼方まで奇跡求めてほら全ての涙が過去になる砕け散るこの世界から今救い出す愛の扉を閉ざす孤独な鎖を壊すのさもう一度
Man, that opening sure has a lot of spoilers. That's why usually when an opening is playing, I usually just blank out. Not trying to see a lot of the animations and stuff. But that one sure has a lot of spoilers. The period of the school day before classes begin is fundamentally blank, meaningless time. They say it's always best to arrive 20 minutes early, but preparing for a class takes 60 seconds at most. After that, there's not much to do other than wander around awkwardly. Actually, you can talk around a lot in class. When I was in class in the morning, we usually greet each other. It was It was a fairly nice and friendly atmosphere. Still, I've always imagined school life as a fairly relaxed experience. A part of me was actually wondering if a little aimless downtime might be enjoyable in its way. But unfortunately... What, again? That slightly pitiful fantasy was shattered all too quickly. Of course, I'm not going to break a sweat from any attack of Yumiko's, but being slashed at with a blade isn't the kind of pleasant breather I had in mind.
なんで今のが避けられるの
I guess she had thought it a particularly well-timed attack, judging from the shocked gaze she's directing at me as she catches her breath. Of course, given that conspicuous clicking sound and her plainly audible footsteps, she might as well have been screaming, "Here I come," but... Time moves at half speed in my immediate vicinity. Giving a straight answer would be a pain, so I pull something out of my ass.
嘘
Yeah, I'm just screwing with you.
バカにしたわね許せない
Maybe it's just me, but I think trying to stab your classmate is somewhat worse.
事実としてそうなってないんだから無罪よ
That's how a criminal thinks, Yumiko. It's not cheating unless you get caught, but I guess a lot of people think that way. This woman's copy of the criminal code seems to be missing the page on attempted murder. But judging from the way she momentarily bought my nonsense, she's unexpectedly airheaded. Maybe a bit naive would be the nicer way to put it.
覚えてなさい
There's only 6 of us here. It would be harder to forget.
またバカにしたそういうことじゃないわよ
Still glaring in my direction, Yumiko retracts the blade of her box cutter. And snorting in displeasure, leaves with a flutter of her skirt.
ユージ君もやってきて早々災難ね
When I return to the classroom, Amane strikes up a conversation. I guess the story of the knife assault in question has already spread around the classroom, as my problem with Yumiko seems to be common knowledge. It's not like she's doing me any harm, but I can't say I'm enjoying this. In our first encounter, I approached the stubbornly silent Yumiko in a physical sense. The outcome was her initial act of rejection. In part, that might have been the result of my own heightened wariness. Sachi's heavy-handed foreshadowing put me on guard, and I have a tendency not to trust someone I'm meeting for the first time. At that time, while I certainly felt animosity from her, it wasn't so intense as to discourage me from approaching. However, from our second encounter on, Yumiko bared open hostility toward me. What's worse, apparently having come to the conclusion that she wasn't a match for me barehanded, she's been swinging around a box cutter of all things. I guess that's like a pat in the back to, like, you know, Senjogahara. I think, I don't actually remember what she uses. Was it a box cutter? I think it was more like scissors. It's been a while since I watched Monogatari. I think in 2009. That's actually been what? Jesus, at this point, 13 years. According to Amane, it seems that Yumiko has something of a habit of brandishing retractable knives at people. Of course, her goal is usually more intimidation than anything else, but speaking as the target this time, I can sense there's a part of her that's seriously trying to stab me. It's not the best feeling in the world.
ライバルとして認められたってことじゃないのかな。あの子、うちらには威嚇の意味で歯を出したりはするけど、本当に切りつけたりはしないし。
I'd really prefer to avoid that kind of recognition.
いきなり接近しようとするからよ。近寄ってわからなかった？あの子の周りに強烈に張られたバリア。
Didn't notice.
ユージ君って強そうに見えるけど、鈍感さは命取りになりそうね。
I'm pretty perceptive when my life's in danger, but I don't really feel that level of threat from Yumiko.
ユージ君って普通の恋愛とかはちゃんとできるの？
My master did say I was exceptionally unskilled in that department.
師匠？
At any rate, I want to do something about Yumiko's aggressive rejection of me. For that purpose, I'll need to talk to someone familiar with her circumstances.
はいはい。ホームルームを始めるわよ。
With the attendance book in her hand as usual, our carefree principal appears. I guess Chizuru is the only one I can ask. In conclusion, Yumiko seems to hate me with a passion.
榊さんがどうかはともかく、あなたが嫌われる理由はよくわかるわ。
Oh? Let's hear it then.
ほうじゃないわよ。事情を知っていて暇そうなのは学園長ぐらいしかいないと思ったから聞きに来たって。わざわざ宣言して部屋に入ってくるとか何考えてるのよ。
I only said what I was thinking. Was I wrong?
違うわよ。一応
Got it. In deference to your feelings, no matter how much I think you're lazing around, I'll keep it quietly buried in my heart from now on. Good enough?
そんなこと言われたら疑心暗鬼になるだけでしょ。
What do you want from me? Spare me the vague complaints. What's your pleasure?
だから嫌われるのよ。
You have an idea?
なんでも。で、質問の答えだけど。
The principal, cup in hand, lowers herself across from the sofa I'm reclining on.
榊さんはこの学園の創設以来の学生なの。
This place just opened recently, right?
ほぼね。一応学園の設立は今から1年前ぐらいだから。彼女はその時からここにいるのよ。
I see. What does that have to do with her rejecting me? Before responding to my question, she takes a sip of coffee from the cup in her hand.
自分のテリトリーに入ってくるのが怖いんでしょ。
Frightening.
そう。これまでは自分の認識できるものしかここには来なかったのに、いきなり異性の、それも得体の知れない人間が自分の近くに入り込んできた。
Principal Tachibana takes a pen in her empty hand and jabs it toward me to emphasize her point.
なので排除しようとしたってことじゃないかしら。
Hazing, is it? A bit of bullying comes with being a fresh recruit, but I didn't expect the same here.
いじめにしてはいじめられる側が強力すぎるけどね。
Apparently unconvinced by the idea of Sakaki stealing my lunch money, Principal Tachibana hides a snort of laughter behind her hand. Although it's certainly amusing considering the balance of our physical strength, I don't see how I can manage a decent student life at this rate. I'm honored to have provided a moment of amusement for our perpetually overworked principal, but I came here hoping to have a path toward overcoming this challenge illuminated by your educational guidance.
あなた、実は私をいじめる目的でここに来たんでしょ。
Cranky from beginning to end, ultimately the principal didn't provide me with any useful advice. This is what a school is like, so figure it out for yourself. A normal school life means a few problems like this. I do have to admit she managed to dodge the issue reasonably well with that last line. In any case, since she didn't have any clear answer for me, I'm left with no choice but to do as she says and try to work on this over time. It's not really my style to go with the flow like this, but if that's the proposal of my educational guide, there's no helping it.
スパーリングみたいになってきたわね。
新兵を手のひらの上であしらう教官なのよさ。
最初はハラハラしましたけど、こうなってくると緊張感のかけらもないですよね。どうして？
The result of going with the flow, Yumiko's attacks have been continuing, without any particular change to date.
ユージもしっかり相手しちゃうから。
Look, could you quit it already?
うるさい。
Her movements thrown off by my sudden sidestep, Yumiko staggers forward unsteadily. She tries desperately to regain her balance, resulting in a ridiculous pose in strong contrast with her usual haughty demeanor. Michiru lets out an involuntary giggle at the spectacle. She's instantly pierced by Yumiko's furious glare.
ごめんなさい。弱。
Ignoring Michiru as she cowers behind her desk, Yumiko storms out of the classroom in a towering rage.
言っちゃった。このところずっとリプレイを見せられているようです。怖かった。何よあの目。相変わらず人を凍えさせるのに十分な威力を持ってるわよ。
チルチルにはきっと血の報復があるのよさ。
ちょっとやめてよマキナ。
お楽しみに。
お楽しみにじゃねえ。
Scenes like this one were very familiar by now. With the exception of Michiru, everyone seems perfectly calm. Even if this little routine doesn't bother them, as a directly concerned party, it's problematic. Hey, Amane. In response to my call, she points to herself with her index finger, silently asking, me? When I nod, she approaches in her usual, pointlessly sexy way.
何どうしたの？榊さんとの対戦格闘に疲れたから、私の胸の中で安らぎたくなった？
I'm sorry, do you actually want me to treat you like a sex worker?
ユージ君がそれを望むのなら、そういう日があってもいいかな？
Damn, you're too horny, woman. I'll be sure to keep that offer in mind, but that's not what I need today. She kind of reminds me of Rise from Persona 4. I don't know, when I was younger, I guess I like Rise, but the more I think about it, yeah, she does kind of go too strong on you.
は？何なの？
You've known her, Yumiko, for a long time, right?
そりゃ確かに多少は他の子よりかは付き合いも長いけど。
Any ideas about the reason she's rejecting me this intensely?
ごめん、わからない。ああいう子でしょ？正直、事務的なこと以外に話す機会もあまりないのよね。
I see.
ユージ君も来たことだし、これから少しずつ話とかできればとは思うけど、今は私もほぼデフォルトに近い状態なのよね。
Certainly, Yumiko hardly seems the type to open up and reveal herself to someone just because they've known each other a while. I guess I'll have to find a solution myself after all. Thanks anyway. Let me know if anything comes to mind. With those words, I move to exit the classroom. If Yumiko's rejection continues to take this form, I'll have no choice but to ask the principal's advice again. At the moment I open the door and prepare to leave,
仲間意識かな？
I stop at the sound of Mane's voice. Hmm?
ユージ君ってさ、よそから来た人じゃん？そういうとこ、あの子は異物感があって嫌なのかもね。
She's saying the same things as the principal, huh? Does it feel that way to you as well, Amane?
私はそんなことないわよ。ユージ君を全力で支援しちゃうから。
It's a little hard to take that seriously given the flow of this conversation.
ユージ君のこと、仲間だって思ったら戦いも終わるかもね。
It's actually pretty good advice. I return to the dorm and wander the hallways without any particular objective. I hope I'm not being too... what is it? I hope I'm not giving Sachi too much preferential treatment. At least so far I think I haven't. Ah, did I read that? Sorry. I return to the dorm and wander the hallways without any particular objective. Compared to shutting myself up alone in my room, it's easier to gather my thoughts. One of the group, huh? I recall Amani's parting words. It's easy for her to say, but actually getting that island of a human being to recognize me as a friend seems next to impossible. First of all, we're not even on speaking terms yet. Oh, it's late already. The sun is sinking below the window frame, casting shadows along the hall. About time for me to return to my room. Guess I'll try talking to her tomorrow. I scratch my head as I turn toward my bedroom. The sound of my slippers echoes roughly in the hallway. Yumiko might have her own set of internal rules, since she hasn't tried to attack me even once while inside the dorm. It's not that I was particularly off my guard as a result of that assumption. Rather, it was probably because it happened at this particular time of day. Or so I would reflect to myself later. Evening, a hallway in the dormitory lit by the setting sun. At the flash of thrusting light, I react instinctively and grab her arm firmly. With her arm captured, Yumiko's face stiffens. The box cutter, blade still extended, rattles around at her feet, turning in circles around a handle. Trying for the element of surprise? Yumiko's expression changes from shock to fear. That's what tips me off that I'm not wearing my peaceful face. Sorry, that came out of nowhere, so I couldn't hold back. I didn't want to frighten her. I thought I could play the normal student. I wanted to convince myself that I could. Look, Yumiko. Still gripping her arm, I look into her eyes and speak. I'm not your enemy. Yumiko's expression betrays uncertainty for just a moment. But just as quickly, it settles back into her customary mask. But it doesn't look like you're convinced of that yet, so let me say one thing. Releasing her arm, I pick up the box cutter lying in front of her feet. Carefully retracting the blade, I hold it out to Yumiko. I won't cause you harm, and I won't pry into your business, either. That's a promise. So stop this, it's pointless. Observe me and reach your own conclusions. If I'm lying, you can always try stabbing me again. Stumbling, Yumiko retreats a single step. Bye. Turning around, I return to my room. Normally, Yumiko would seize such a chance to attack, but something's different now. Her elongated shadow is still, and the hallway is silent except for the small sound of her breathing. After that day, Yumiko's attacks came to an abrupt halt. Hopefully I can use this as an opportunity to slightly improve our relationship. I'm trying to live a normal campus life, so it would be nice to minimize the number of classmates who want me dead. Yo. As usual, to call Yumiko's behavior when we come across each other curt would be an understatement. But at the very least, judging from the clearly different way she's looking at me, our observation period seems to be ongoing.
あなたに質問があるんだけど。
I'll answer unless you want to know my weaknesses.
それを聞こうと思っていたのに。
What a shame. Come up with something else. She occasionally talks to me like this, but instead of friendly chats about our lunch plans, we have investigative inquiries and careful negotiations. Even so, I suppose it's a considerable improvement over outright bloodshed.
いつか絶対に弱点を握ってやる。
Is that your idea of social interaction between classmates?
まだそうと認めたわけじゃない。
Right then. I open my hands in an exaggerated American-style shrug. Well, good luck to you, Yumiko. I think it's time to leave before she starts probing any further.
あのね、あなた。いい加減名前で気安く呼ぶのやめてくれない？
Seems like she's hung up on that point. After those events, I've been intentionally addressing Yumiko by her first name. The family name would actually be more appropriate here, but I've got a bit of reason for doing this. Says the woman who's never referred to me as anything but you.
だからといって、いきなり名前ってことはないでしょ。
So you're saying, as classmates, we should both use last names. Yumiko's expression clearly reads, oh crap.
なんであなたと同等の立場で呼び合わないといけないの？
Isn't that the starting point for building a cordial relationship?
だからといって
Alright, in that case, I'll take our friendship to the next level by making up a pleasant nickname for you. Not to worry, you can do the same for... It might be a little early for that, so I propose starting with last names. Yumiko hesitates briefly, but before long she opens her mouth stiffly and in a tight voice.
よろしくね風見くん
That wasn't so hard, was it? After speaking those words with a cramped attempt at a smile, she stalks off. Yeah, best regards, Sakaki. Thus, after great hardship, I finally succeeded in establishing an absolute minimum level of communication with my 5th classmate. Seems this student life thing is pretty rough in its own way. Truly is. And that's actually the perfect scene to end. I was actually wondering what's a nice place to end this the pacing for this visual novel, but I guess when you end like an arc like that, it's actually pretty nice. Because this game is simulated in that way that events occur in sequences that you know there's an end for the specific event, even though sometimes it might be ongoing for a couple of scenes. But yeah, I think this is a good place for me to save my game. I still have my save from like 2019. Look at that, Jesus. Yeah, that was my save 2019. That was 3 years ago. Well, technically like 2 years and 2 months. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I don't know if I'll be enjoying this as much as I was previously when I played it, because I have changed a lot during the years. But we'll see though. Shari no Kuni was surprisingly still very fun for me. It aged pretty damn well. This one, I still think I like Kajitsu quite a lot, but the second and third one I might think differently, but we'll see. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.